Welcome to Libraryish, where we celebrate everything libraries, books, stories, and the amazing people behind them. I'm Traci.
And I'm January. Today we're celebrating Black History Month by shining a light on some African American librarians that are legends in our field.
That's right. These librarians weren't just caretakers of books. They were innovators, advocates, and change makers who built access to knowledge in ways that transformed librarianship, communities, and history.
There are so many groundbreaking Black librarians that we could talk about, but honestly, we'd need like a year-long podcast series to cover them all.
So today, we've just chosen a very small selection of trailblazers who reshaped what libraries could be through activism, scholarship, and sheer determination.
You're going to be inspired, you're going to learn, and we hope you'll come away with a deeper appreciation for how libraries and librarians really are forces for change.
That's right. Let's go. At Libraryish, we recognize that as white librarians, we speak from a place of privilege. We are not experts on Black librarianship, nor can we fully understand the lived experience of African American library professionals.
However, we've approached our research on this topic with deep respect and gratitude for the many African American scholars, librarians, and historians whose work has informed this episode. We are mindful that this is a complex and deeply important conversation. In discussing the history and contributions of Black librarians, we have worked to strike a balance, acknowledging the injustices and systematic barriers Black librarians have faced, while also being respectful of the trauma these histories carry.
Our goal is to honor the resilience, scholarship, and leadership of Black librarians, past and present, and to share their stories with care. As library professionals, we have an ethical responsibility to uphold diversity, equity, and inclusion within our profession and in the communities we serve. This commitment means not only amplifying the voices of Black librarians, but also engaging in necessary conversations about race and systemic inequities, even when those conversations are difficult. We believe it is important for us as white librarians to take part in this dialogue, recognizing that dismantling barriers in librarianship is work that belongs to all of us. We present this episode with humility, knowing that it doesn't tell the whole story, and that there is always more for us to learn. Our hope is that this discussion will spark further reflection and engagement, and will inspire everyone to actively support and celebrate Black librarianship in our libraries and beyond. These are just a handful of the people who, in the past and today, make libraries what we see them as today. Like the things we take for granted in terms of cataloging and access. These are the people that help facilitate those basic services that we just think are everyday things.
And they're amazing people.
And they're, yeah. And then besides that fact, they're just awesome folks.
They really are. I'm so excited. I want to talk about you, JJC.
I know you do, but we're going to start off with the OG.
Okay.
We're going to start off with Edward Christopher Williams.
That's fair.
Edward C. Williams. Now, he essentially is the first professionally trained African American librarian in the U.S. He was born in 1871. He graduated from Western Reserve University in the year my grandmother was born, 1892.
Oh, that's delightful.
And then 2 years later, he became the director of one of their libraries, the Hatch Library. He was there 17 years. He more than doubled their collection. He was the driving force behind securing funding from Andrew Carnegie for them to start a library school, where that library school opened in 1909, and he taught there. He then eventually became the university librarian for that institution. In 1903, he was elected to be head of the wonderful Howard University's library, and he spent 13 years there. Passed away in 1916 as he was entering a doctorate program. And some of the things he did at Howard University, he fought to improve their library's resources. And interestingly, this is where foresight comes in. He actually advocated that Howard University did not open a library school, that they not do that. The reason being they did not have adequate resources to buy the equipment, to build the collection and everything else. And what he didn't want to do was have the students of Howard
get a subpar education,
participating in a university system where the education was in reality, or even had the opportunity to be considered subpar.
You know, that's some good forward thinking.
Yeah, so he actually, what they did instead was they started offering some tech classes in librarianship. And there he actually also taught language classes, particularly German language. He was completely fluent in French, Italian, German, and Spanish.
That is amazing.
Which, incredibly amazing. He also taught reference work, bibliography, public documents, and criticism and selection of books there. Yeah, he was an amazing teacher. His main thing was advocating for the inclusion of African Americans in library schools and the overall professionalization of librarianship. That was still in its early phases when he was starting library school in the late 1800s. It was not really a professional job then. It was a lot of people just going, and they would take over the collections of rich people. Those collections would be donated to organizations and so forth. But he advocated for the professionalization of the job of librarianship. And he also advocated strongly for the inclusion of Black Americans within that process. And so without him, there would be librarianship as we know it would be completely different. So he's the OG. He's the founder.
Lovely.
Absolutely. And then who do you want to talk about?
I would like to talk about EJ. It'll be really quick. I promise. Well, as quick as I can make it because he's
fangirling.
EJ Josie was known as the librarian who asked why not. You know, he would look at, and he was very, very into, why aren't there more Black librarians? Why aren't there more, why? He would always ask why not. He was born in 1924 and he was a part of the Army during World War II. And when he left the Army, he got his MLIS using his GI Bill funds.
Amazing.
And he got that in 1953. And he joined the ALA and he applied to join the Georgia Library Association, but was denied. He was denied on the basis that he was Black. That was the only reason. So he took that almost as a challenge. He's like, well, you know what? There needs to be more Black people in this profession. There needs to be more accommodations for more diversity in this profession.
Absolutely.
He was invited to speak at an ALA conference, and it was the same conference in which Mississippi was getting, the Mississippi Library Association was getting the award after previously having left the ALA when they said, okay, you have to desegregate everything. Mississippi is like, we do, no, we don't, we are going to leave. And then they're getting, as they're, being brought back into the loving arms of the ALA Association, they're getting this award for the events they held for National Library Week. And Josie stood up and said, I do not think this is appropriate. They were asked to desegregate and they chose to leave, and now you're awarding them? That's not okay. And he says in his own words, when he realized they were receiving this award after not allowing Black patronage, he said, I, quote unquote, exploded. He protested vigorously. He vigorously protested the Mississippi getting this award, and his protest was rejected. They said, no, sorry, we're still going to give them the award, but they're going to do better. And he got up, and this last day of this conference, he got up and he said, I propose a resolution. And they said, okay, what's your resolution? All ALA officers and ALA staff members should refrain from attending in their official capacity or at the expense of ALA the meetings of state associations which are unable to be met fully the requirements of chapter status in ALA. And everything was fine until another person got up and seconded the motion. And then, quote unquote, all hell broke loose.
I love that.
You ain't seen a good fight until you've seen librarians fighting.
Well, that's true.
Oh my goodness! But you want to know? You want to know the conclusion of this? What
yes,
happened?
Of course I do.
It was passed. It was passed. So now, in the future, because
Yeah.
remember we just said we'll do better in the future.
Yeah.
They can't give awards to librarians that do that kind of poop in the future.
Yay!
E.J. Josie was he was amazing.
And then he became one of the foundational members of the Black Caucus of the ALA.
1970, I think they
Yep.
established
It was 1970, and it was a response to that systemic racism and lack of representation. Created to provide a dedicated space for Black librarians to address racial inequities in the library profession. And to this day, one of the things they do, along with offering scholarships, is they have a website and they list job opportunities. So they source those from all over the country. So for young Black professionals or older professionals, I was an older professional, that you can find opportunities within the profession and go grab them.
For real, because we do, as an institution, we need more diversity here. As a whole,
Lord,
what did we say, 7%?
Yeah, 6.5 to 7%.
6.5 to 7%, and that's an increase. I mean, for goodness sake, we need more diversity.
Absolutely.
And Josie was just wonderful. He was the president of the ALA, and I think it was 1983. And then he passed in the year 2009. Unfortunately, but he did such amazing things.
Yeah,
he was so fun to research. And if you're ever curious about more, come into the library, see if we've got a couple of books on him, or make a purchase suggestion so we can get more books on him. But yeah, he was delightful.
Yeah.
He was so much fun to research.
Yeah,
so much fun.
He's just amazing and an excellent writer. The work that he did on Williams was a huge source for me for when I was doing my research, and just a really engaging writer. So highly recommend reading anything.
Very much so.
So I guess we'll move to Dorothy B. Porter. Dorothy Porter was also amazing. She was the first Black American woman to earn a library science degree from Columbia, the same school that Josie later went to. She also joined Howard University staff in 1930, and that was the official joining. She had actually been at Howard and worked with Williams for years and actually knew him quite well. And when Josie wrote one particular paper on him that I used as a source, he spoke with her to get more information about Josie, about Williams, the man, and what he was like, because she had had so much contact with him. She was hired to organize the library's Moreland Foundation, which was a small collection of anti-slavery pamphlets and books. But working as a cataloger over those 40 years, some of the things that came to her attention, or one of the main thing that came to her attention, was how books written by Black authors were cataloged. And this is really the revolutionary part of her participation in this history of libraries. So there were two ways that books written by Black authors were categorized. No matter what the subject matter, no matter whether they were fiction or nonfiction, because even fiction books are given Dewey numbers.
Oh, Dewey.
Yeah. We won't talk about him here.
I won't start.
Okay.
I won't. I promise you.
We're not going to talk about that.
He doesn't come out very well.
No, he's not.
Moving on.
Not a great guy. Problematic as heck. But so Porter noticed that regardless of what the book was, there were two numbers that everything, whether it was about Black people or it was by Black people, there were two catalog numbers that were applied. There was 325, which was colonization, and there was 326, which was slavery. She fought to have the regular Dewey catalog numbers applied to books about African Americans and to books by African Americans. I mean, can you imagine? You find a poetry book by Langston Hughes, and you got to go to slavery to read it.
Oh my God!
You got to go to 326.
I can't. Well, I mean, if we still had this system, if I wanted to go read "Becoming" by Michelle Obama, I would have to go to slavery to check this book out.
Or colonization.
Or colonization.
One or the other, whichever. I mean, as if that would be better.
You know, and it's just, which did
I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
It does not. It's so closed-minded, which, you know, that makes sense because the people that thought of it.
And this is where diversity becomes important.
You know what?
This is that privilege that comes in where you're a white person in a library and you're not necessarily looking for a book by Langston Hughes. So if it's in 326, are you going to notice? Like, this is why diversity is important.
This is one of the many reasons why,
you know, and this is how lack of diversity impacts everyone. Because where are you going to get that Toni Morrison book?
Slavery. It doesn't.
It's insane. It
really is.
But she was there to absolutely be like, this is going to stop. And because of her influence and because of her power and being at Howard, it changed everywhere. Every library followed suit and it changed everywhere.
Thank goodness for that. So, I mean, just for accuracy's sake.
That is talk about a legacy, and it's something so small. But what a huge legacy and a huge impact. It's very just amazing. So and now we have the most wonderful. Yes.
Carla Hayden. I love her.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I love her. I'll say Carla Hayden is the first, not only is she the first woman, but she's the first Black woman to be nominated and entered into the as Librarian of Congress. She was nominated, she's number 14th person to hold that spot. And she was nominated by Obama and sworn in 2016. She's still there. Stay there.
You can't leave it.
Dude, you'll get to leave. So prior to her role here, she was the CEO at Enoch Pratt Free Library in Baltimore. She's also at that same library. She's really recognized for her outreach efforts. She wanted to make friends. She did a lot of work in children's services. She was a children's librarian. She started this whole librarian journey as a librarian assistant. That's what I am. But and she worked for the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, and then a series of Chicago public libraries.
My favorite museum. You don't understand.
I've never been.
You don't understand. The Museum of Science and Industry is everything.
Oh, she was.
At least it was. At least it was. In a time ago. I won't say how long ago, but I used to try to go there at least once a month. I was obsessed.
Oh, I love museums. I love museums.
Now, this museum had biplanes hanging from the ceiling. I don't know. I can't describe to you what a magical place.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That's like the museums that have dinosaur bones. You know,
that's the Field Museum in Chicago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but the Science and Industry was
lucky.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was the Field Museum of Natural History. But
this is what nerds we are.
I know.
So she was deputy commissioner and chief librarian within the Chicago public school library system. But she was amazing, and she does these really great programs. And when people, ask her, what was your, what great people have you thought of, being in this position? Frederick Douglass will be one of them. And he knew that the ability to read was important because of these reasons. She quotes that. She's done some great programs. Like she has a program of, this is so unique, what they found in President Lincoln's pockets the night he was assassinated. And
I love displays like that.
Right?
Like we do that occasionally in Chico, where we'll have a little display up in the front of the library by the entrance. Little archival display. I love that.
Oh, and she does, because she was a children's a librarian and everything, but she has repeatedly said we have to aim for the kids because the kids are our future. The kids are the people who will be leading this country. Even they might be picking their nose and wearing diapers right now, but in a series of decades, that might be president.
Yes, 100%.
So I mean, the kids are where we need to focus. We need to focus on educating the kids, teaching the kids how to read, things along those lines. And that's why we do things here like story time. That's why we try to encourage reading with kids. We have 1,000 books before kindergarten to encourage reading amongst kids. We have baby story time. We have toddler story time. We have family story time, because that is where our future is. I don't care who you are, that diapered little snotty child, that's the future. You know what? I say this with love. I have 3 children. But that's the future right there. And she's always kind of saying that. But I have to share this story. I do love this so very much. So there's a flute. There's a crystal flute that was once owned by James Madison, who was a past president. And during his tenure as president, the British attacked and they tried to burn down the White House. And his wife ran back in, as in she left, and then realized it was important enough to go back into the White House to rescue this crystal flute.
I did do that with my cell phone yesterday when I.
So
I understand in a way. I was like, I got to my car and I went, no, we can't have this. And I went back in, but there was no like gunfire or fire or anything. This is
this is in the 1800s. This is in the 1800s prior to the freeing of the slaves. This is a very, very, very long time ago. So she ran back in to grab this crystal flute because it was that important to her and to her husband and to all these things. So the Madisons, as was common, they owned slaves. They owned over 100 slaves, and in the every way that you can think of, that's that they owned these people. And Carla Hayden, a Black woman, invited Lizzo, whom I love. Oh my gosh, Lizzo, if you want to see this, please come. Let's talk. Let's talk about a program.
Come to our library.
Come to our library. To play this crystal flute in front of many, many people. Like there's a recording of it. Yep. And Lizzo actually said it's weird. It feels like it's playing like I'm playing a wine glass, But it's pure petty, which I love. The first Black woman librarian is going to take this prized possession from a previous slave owner and give it to another Black woman to play for everybody. I just
to make music.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah,
I just love amazing. It. It's pure petty.
I mean, that video really broke the internet.
It really
when she did that. It was so everywhere, lovely. And it was beautiful.
I know.
It was amazing. And I mean, Lizzo is an amazing flautist.
She is very much so.
So good, but that particular situation was just
it's chef's kiss.
Awesome.
It was pure. It was sophisticated.
That was that.
Oh yes.
That was so good. So good.
But she just this is what she's known for. This right here, and she's so funny. She calls herself an accidental librarian because she fell into the profession. She didn't want to be one. It wasn't something she aspired to, but she kind of found herself here and was like, I guess I'll stay. I guess I'll go ahead and do this. Yeah. But she's just absolutely wonderful. And I loved researching her so much. And she's still the Librarian of Congress as of this moment. Please don't leave. So we're hoping nothing changes, but she's still there and she's still lovely and she still has all these wonderful, unique, programs that she's able to do because she's just great. Yeah. And that's it for today's episode. We've only scratched the surface of the contributions Black librarians have made, not just to libraries, but to education, culture, and honestly, society as a whole.
That's right. Their contributions to the field of library science are huge, and the impact of their work still resonates today.
Oh, in such a big way. Oh, absolutely. My goodness. We hope you're inspired to learn more. Please visit your library and think about how the contributions of these remarkable librarians have made the experience so much better for all of us. It's the perfect way to honor their contributions.
And if this episode sparked something for you, share it with a friend. Let's keep this conversation going.
Because it's a good one when you get down to it.
It's a necessary one.
Thanks for tuning in to Library-ish. See you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.